Hi guys, as we know, the US should be worried about an EMP attack, as reported by Richard Pryor many years ago, and the videos on my YouTube channel somewhere. This is a new report published on October the 23rd. China, Russia, North Korea, and Iran set for electronic pulse attacks on the United States. China, Russia, North Korea, and Iran are preparing nuclear electronic pulse attacks from space in a future conflict to cripple the US military and plunge the United States into darkness, according to a declassified study. The United States' critical national infrastructure faces a present and continuing existential threat from combined arms warfare, including cyber and man-made electronic pulse attack and natural EMP from a solar superstorm. Once largely a concern of a Cold War surprise attack from Russia to shut down American nuclear forces' communications, the spread of nuclear weapons has increased the danger of disruptive EMP attack from a nuclear burst in the upper atmosphere. Within the last decade, newly nuclear-armed adversaries, including North Korea, have been developing the ability and threatening to carry out an EMP attack against the United States. Such an attack would give countries that have only a small number of nuclear weapons the ability to cause widespread, long-lasting damage to US critical national infrastructures, to the United States itself as a viable country, and to the survival of the majority of its population. The report, containing redactions requested by the Pentagon, was written by William R. Graham, EMP Commission Chairman, who is regarded as one of the foremost experts on EMP. Graham helped to discover the phenomenon after a 1962 US atmospheric nuclear test near Hawaii. The report warns of vulnerabilities in the US electric grid from both a nuclear blast EMP and a devastating solar storm like the 1859 Carrington event that generated a widespread natural EMP that, if it occurred today, would have caused massive blackouts to electric grids and other life-sustaining critical infrastructures. Regarding nuclear EMP, the report states that China, Russia, and Iran consider the use of high-altitude nuclear blasts as sixth-generation warfare that could cripple the ability of the US military to wage war using advanced electronic systems for intelligence, navigation, and precision weapons guidance. Nuclear EMP attack is part of the military doctrines, plans, and exercises of Russia, China, North Korea, and Iran for a revolutionary new way of warfare against military forces and civilian critical infrastructures by cyber sabotage and EMP. Potential adversaries understand that millions could die from the long-term collateral effects of EMP and cyber attacks that cause protracted blackout of national electric grids and other life-sustaining critical infrastructures. Of particular concern, according to the report, are two North Korean satellites, and we've talked about this before, currently in polar orbit over the United States. The two satellites, launched in 2012 and 2016, currently travel in trajectories that are consistent with practice or preparation for a surprise nuclear EMP attack. The satellites' polar orbits allow them to evade detection by US missile defense satellites and sensors, a sign they could be used during the first stage of a North Korean long-range nuclear attack to disrupt US missile defenses in Alaska and California. The satellites KMS-3 and KMS-4 appear to be similar to a secret Soviet-era weapon called the fractional orbital bombardment system that Moscow planned for a surprise nuclear attack over the United States. Two retired Russian generals testified to the EMP Commission in 2004 that a Russian design for a super EMP weapon was transferred to North Korea by Russian scientists and engineers working on North Korea's missile and nuclear weapons program. The Russians asserted the North Koreans could test a super EMP weapon in a few years, and that was in 2004. So now we're in 2018. That's obviously a few years, more than enough time for several countries to develop EMP-style weapons of their own. And this comes at the same time as Vladimir Putin was doing some sort of press conference or something, and he basically was saying that the US dominance is ending after many mistakes that have been made. So Vladimir Putin said on Thursday, that was last Thursday, that America's global dominance is coming to an end, with the US itself accelerating that process with a string of mistakes typical of an empire. The Russian president, speaking at the Bagel Forum in the Black Sea resort town of Sochi, criticized the US for implementing sanctions against Russia and other nations arguing that doing so undermined trust in the dollar as the world's universal currency. And we're already seeing that happen with governments like Iran, Russia, China, India, even the EU deciding to trade in local currencies when it comes to Iran and the sanctions, especially the sanctions that are due to come in just 11 days' time. So the Russian president, it's a typical mistake of an empire, Putin said. An empire always thinks that it can allow itself to make some little mistakes, take some extra costs because its power is such that they don't mean anything. But the quantity of these costs, those mistakes inevitably grows. And the moment comes when it can't handle them, neither in the security sphere or the economic sphere. The demise of the United States' global hegemony has been a recurring theme in Putin's speeches over recent years, as the Russian president has painted his nation as leading a new world order, as a rising China, along with BRIC nations Brazil and India, gain equal footing. At a panel sessions, Putin upbraided the US for its military interventions in the Middle East, saying they had arisen from a dangerous American monopoly on world power. He said, "Thank God the situation of a unipolar world of a monopoly is coming to an end." Putin said it is practically already over. And I think those are ominous words for the times that we find ourselves in. You know, it's clear that there's volatility in the world, and a lot of these superpowers are making maneuvers that are reminiscent of Cold War or World War. And obviously, there's a lot of tension points around the world where things could flare up very quickly, not to mention the man-made natural disasters that they plan to use as well. So there's a lot of things to watch out for, but with Putin saying the America's dominance is pretty much nearly over, it kind of lends weight to the thoughts that we've been having around the changing global environment and what we're about to be kind of pushed into. So just to be prepared. And in relation to these pipe bombs that have been sent around, it's been 10 so far. I'm not going to go into all the, different ideas of what people are thinking in terms of who's sending these bombs, or, are they politically motivated? Are the Democrats sending them to themselves? And, there's a lot of different theories out there, but I'm not going into any of that. The thing I want to focus on is the image that they're using. When they first started showing all these packages and these bombs, everybody's names were shown and their addresses were shown. Eventually, in the later images, they had blurred out the addresses and just left the name. But on this one to John Brennan, they haven't. And obviously, they've left the Time Warner CNN address there visible as well. But that's not even what I want to focus on there. It's the time bomb itself. It has a time on it. And from what I can see, it's clearly marked 11. So we're straight on to, I think, referencing November here. And then from what I can tell here, there's a dark line here, a dark line here, and it goes down. And I can't see if there's a dark line across, but I'm assuming there is, because there's obviously 9 numbers that can be made up here. It's not a number 1 because you've got dark lines here and dark lines here. It's not a number 2 because you don't have a dark line here. To me, it's most likely a number 3 because you've got the dark line, and then there's probably a dark line that's supposed to go along down here. But as you can see, it's pretty messed up with the imagery and how they've shown it. It can't be a number 4. Number 5, no dark line there. Number 6 again. Number 7, they don't have a line across. Number 8, there's no lines here. Number 9, there's no line here. So the only number it can possibly really be is the number 3. And then this number, I think, is pretty clear. The number 5. So looking at all of that, could be, if we look at all the different interpretations that could be, it could be 11, 3 plus 5, that would be 11, 8, or 8, 11, depending on how you want to look at it. It could be 11, 3 and 11, 5. Those are 2 dates that we've obviously talked about quite a lot. a lot of the recent videos. It could be referencing 28 in terms of 1 and 1 being 2, and 5 and 3 being 8. That's coming up in 2 days' time, if it's referencing the 28th of this month. But from the research I've been doing, the different mediums that I've shown in terms of 11.3, how that's shown in different medias, from animation to films and in music as well, and we know how they like to use their subliminal messaging. I think I'm sticking with 11.3 and 11.5, but obviously the other interpretations I'll keep an eye on, but 11.3 and 11.5 is pretty much where I'm going with this. And obviously a lot of people have pointed out what J.K. Buggat pointed out a while ago on the Economist magazine 2015, the arrows next to Alice. We think this is Alice anyway. 11.5, 11.3, or backwards 11.3, 11.5. Could be referencing this year, 2018, November 3rd, November 5th. So maybe that's a date, something to do with explosions. And obviously we've talked about 11.3 potentially being the underwater explosions with the nuclear devices, submarines causing a tsunami, and then the naval forces following after that on 11.5 and launching the attack on the mainland. Obviously, I don't know if that's going to happen. I hope it doesn't. But, you know, just putting the interpretations out there just in case. So, you guys, I think that's everything I wanted to cover. EMPs, Putin saying America's dominance is pretty much nearly over, and the pipe bomb time reference 11.35, 11.35, and that possibly having a connection with November 3rd, November 5th. You guys have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and may the Heavenly Father bless you.